You are listening to the audio portion of the QB Power Hour webinar series, your bi-weekly dose of insights and learning for accounting professionals with co-hosts Dan DeLong and Sharon Fuller. We're here to explore the latest in the industry, QuickBooks, and integrations that matter to you. For more details on the series, visit qbpowerhour.com.
Well, welcome everybody to another QB Power Hour. Hopefully those of you that were in the waiting room got the full experience of the video, because we're not going to be having the video play while I'm trying to figure out how to advance the slides. Let me know if that worked well. Put it in the chat or something like that, because we want to get started with the content today, because we have a lot to talk about, and we might even get to
into it, keeping us active over here.
Yeah, and Anna Burke is what video? So that doesn't sound promising, Sharon.
And so it was just the
Yeah.
Join our communities and find us over here, and you don't get CP for this anymore. So all right, no one saw it. You and I will have to test it later. It's okay.
We'll have to test it. Okay. So yeah, the little intro video that starts when we start the Power Hour, it talks about the housekeeping and all of that stuff, and that should be playing in the waiting room as you're waiting. Now, if you just got here and you weren't sitting in the waiting room, then you wouldn't see the video.
Yeah.
We'll check it out.
In case they missed it. Am I
nice. You are.
All right.
You've been around the QB Power Hour.
I mean, on YouTube. Lisa was in the waiting room for 30 minutes. Damn.
Whoa. So Lisa, did you see the video?
Yeah, apparently not, but Lisa. Okay. All right, go ahead, Dan. Do your thing.
Yeah, okay. Today we're going to be talking about making bulk edits in QuickBooks. We'll talk a little bit about desktop, and we'll talk a little bit about QuickBooks Online, but we'll talk about some of the ways to make mass changes inside of QuickBooks. We do want to shout out, since apparently the video didn't say that, we do have some spotlight sponsors, and this is how it keeps the QB Power Hour free for all the attendees. Please check them out and support them. And now, if you want to connect with Sharon and I and not get so interruptive back and forth, because we don't rehearse the QB Power Hour.
I don't even look at the slides, you guys. I have no idea what we're talking about till it's in my face. I'm not going to lie here. Dan lifts, I show up. That's it.
But if you want to connect with us on an uninterrupted basis, we each have our own communities. What is your community? And I know it's clone and conquer, but what is
businesses,
the
Dan?
takeaway?
I get owners unstuck. If you're stuck and you can't get out of it, you're like, I don't even know. Do I hire? Do I fix something? Do I bring it back? And if I do, I can't even do it. I help you get out of that.
So it's advising the advisor.
I have a community and I do one-on-one advisory.
Excellent. And then mine is more focused on getting the most out of QuickBooks, right? So if you have some questions or concerns about, I want to get more out of QuickBooks or make things more efficient, that's where School of Bookkeeping comes in. If you're joining us for the first time, we have changed a little bit about the QB Power Hour, and we've made some categories of our webinars. So we have different ones in there. We've also made individual registrations. If you're still part of the recurring one, that's going to expire after next time. So if you're tired of getting 2 alerts from me,
I get 4, just saying.
and I get at least 16. So
okay. You're 4 times better than I am, Dan.
I'm eating my own dog food when it comes to updating myself. That's going to expire after the next one. Hopefully everybody got the memo now that we moved over to individual registrations. You can check out those on our website and put them on your calendar as well. So today we're going to be, hopefully we get past the Intuit news part
Oh, you started with that. Oh,
yes.
Smart.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about some of the news that happened on cue, like right before the power hour, about the QuickBooks payroll changes as well as the Q3 results and the announcements that occurred immediately following. So we'll try to maintain a concise conversation about that, but
Come
can't
on.
guarantee that. But then we'll go
My parents used to say that too. So do my teachers.
But we do want to get into bulk editing tools that are in QuickBooks Desktop and Online and some external tools. And over at School of Bookkeeping, we're going to be having a bulk edit cohort. So if we're not talking too much about what the bulk editing, there will be an opportunity for more concise or not as unscripted with the cohort that we have. So, Sharon, launch the first poll question, please.
Got it. Launch.
Which version of QuickBooks do you support your clients with? And while you're answering that, we're going to go right into the what burns Sharon s'mores, and we'll talk about some Intuit news and updates. So,
get it out.
First thing, you may have received an email in the last couple of weeks about the QBO payroll changes. It is undergoing a verbiage change from QBO payroll to workforce. Sorry. So it's going to be changing that terminology, and that seems to be a theme over the last couple of weeks of terms changing. But basically, QuickBooks or Intuit purchased a human capital management company, acquired a human capital management company as a new acquisition. They are changing the name from just payroll to workforce because the HSM or HCM companies is going to bring to the fold, at least that's the promise, that there will be more HR related things. Now, Sharon, you're a fan of Rippling, which would that
I am a Rippling fan.
Would that be in the same vein as an HCM?
Oh yeah, they're all using that HCM and HCA Human Capital Advisory. That's the new. We all got over CAS, and now they're bringing this in. It's just basically payroll and looking at the data. But yeah, same thing. It makes sense in the evolution of Intuit. Have everything in one stop. Move the accounts out of the way. You bring in just the end user business owner. And they're like, oh, I have Intuit. I need nothing else. This is my whole back office system. I project everything, right? So it makes sense. They're moving in the right direction, even though their HR product sucks.
Yeah, which was, I think, Mammoth was the company that they were working with, and I don't know what the outcome for that is. Probably it's going to be the way of Melio when Intuit incorporated its own QuickBooks Bill Pay.
Yep.
Melio got the boot. There is a link in the slides for the Firm of the Future article. I did just put in the chat I didn't put in the chat. I meant to put in the chat today's handouts.
Yeah, they've already asked 2 times, but
there you go.
Didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah. That is in the chat there, which I would have normally done during the intro video, but we don't have the intro video, so we're still working through this. But there is a link there for the Firm of the Future article in the handouts, so you can download that. So with change, typically comes a pricing change or update. This is also on the Firm of the Future article as well, so you can take a look at it there. But the pricing changes for payroll, I have not heard anything about pricing changes for QuickBooks Online. That did get hinted at on the third quarter results call, which we're going to talk a little bit about in the next slide. But the changes with payroll is all being related to the per employee cost. They're not changing any of the base costs. It's all just dealing with the per employee cost. So workforce payroll, which was core, QBO payroll core, is increasing by 50 cents an employee. Then a workforce premium is adding a $3 surcharge to the employee cost. And the workforce elite is getting quite a jump from 12 to 17 per employee. And then premium and elite are having this optional $5 per employee add-on for the benefits administration. All of that we don't know the details of what that actually means, but we know that there's going to be a charge associated with that. That's what we do know.
Really? Yeah.
The effective date for these pricing changes is July 1st. If you're directly being billed by Intuit. So your next billing after that will incorporate these changes. If you are participating with a QuickBooks solution provider, the QSP channel, those prices don't go into effect until after September 1st. If you have clients who are currently on a promotion, they will not be affected by the pricing change until this promotion ends. So those are the dates involving those pricing changes. So speaking of workforce changes, Intuit had its third quarter results call last week and made some pretty interesting announcements. Basically, the third quarter is the results of tax season, right? Because Intuit's fiscal year begins on August 1st, excuse me. So their third quarter is right around the TurboTax tax preparation filing season, right? Working at Intuit, I didn't realize how heavy that was. That business unit, the tax preparation side of things, was for Intuit, right? I grew up, I cut my teeth in QuickBooks, right? So we were all in that particular business unit. So with this third quarter, you look at the charts and all the things that are readily available out there about Intuit as a publicly traded company. Q3, or the third quarter, is typically the largest revenue source for Intuit. And as they were talking about it, it underperformed, right? Because the TurboTax, being the do-it-yourself model, is getting disrupted, right? That's really what it's boiled down to. They lost share, they lost some revenue on the TurboTax side of things from my analysis of what they said. This is the season, right, where QuickBooks then either looks at its budget, looks at those results of the third quarter, and makes adjustments based off of that. And the easiest way that they make adjustments is by changing the workforce, changing the number of badged employees that work for Intuit. So they announced a large reduction. We have 17% of the workforce. One thing I do want to point out is that they increased their number of employees from the last time they had a huge layoff like this, right? You look back at the last time, it was like 9 or 10% of the workforce reduction. They had less of a headcount than what they laid off, what they had today or recently when they announced these layoffs. So at some point, they do acquire employees, and that could be part of the whole thing, is that it could be an acquisition that caused the raise in headcount. But I experienced several iterations of this. Sharon, go ahead.
So first of all, shout out to Intuit. They did it right this time. When they did the layoff, they actually didn't go, hey, 50% of these people sucked, but we're not telling you which 50%. So shout out to Intuit for not doing that again. Secondly, I was going through my LinkedIn trying to figure out who, and it was a lot of Credit Karma people, almost significantly Credit Karma staff. So that, again, Intuit pisses me off, but it tracks, right? I know. Does everybody want me to be angrier? Right? Okay. Just making sure they're not. But they bought Credit Karma. And honestly, Credit Karma can be so automated and AI that they're like, we had all these people, we don't need them anymore. So not only that, most of the departments that they had that stand alone on Credit Karma, they merge into whatever they had into it. So that being said, I think they needed to get rid of all the Credit Karma people, but at the same time took a chance to get rid of some others that they won't announce were underperforming because that went so well last time. So anyhow, like I said, if you're in my community, if you watch anything I do, if your job isn't client facing, relationship facing, they're going to try to replace you with computers.
Yeah. And that seemed to be the biggest thing, is that TurboTax and Credit Karma, they aligned the business units under one thing, the middle management components and the teams that were part of both TurboTax and Credit Karma, because that's really the personal finance side of Intuit. There was some redundancies in positions, and those roles were eliminated. It's hard to believe that there's 3,000 of them that were redundant, but that is what they said. These changes, they happen pretty frequently, and being part of this, being part of this experience, it became part of the culture. Just working there, that okay, we're in the fourth quarter. Who is it this year, right?
Yeah, and it's never anybody that expected it. People that'll say, "Oh, hey, I was there for 15 years." I'm like, well, at least you get a longer severance package. Like,
Yeah.
Almost everybody that I know used to work at Intuit. You did, Hector did, Allison did. I cannot believe how many of you ding dongs used to work at Intuit. Ding dongs, because I just can't work for the man. So just saying.
But to their credit, they do this catch and release thing where they reorganize and they restructure and they make requisitions. And it's, instead of the culture of, hey, we think you would do better in this position, they just sever, right? And then allow folks to look at what's available and reapply, right? And a lot of times that's what happens, is that people don't actually have to turn in their badge, because all they do is just reapply for another position and get rehired for that position. And that way I get it that they're getting the type of people that they want for those positions. And those people are putting in the initiative to get those positions. But it is a little stressful. I think that's the nicest way.
I feel bad. And the problem is, Dan, is that everybody's laying off right now. Like everybody, all these big corporations. So it's scary, because it's like, where are they going to go? If you look across the accounting channel, not almost all, but a large portion of tech that you see at conferences, they're getting rid of their partner program. They're sending in their sales and marketing people to the booths instead of their big old partner program, right? They're spending less money on trying to get us into their product. I have a few ideas around that, but where are these people going to go? What are we going to do? Are we all just going to rebuild robots for a living? What are we going to do? I think we need to start torching the AI plants and the AI field. Let's just, all of us accountants, uprise. We can do it. There's more of us than them. I'm just saying, we're strong. That had nothing to do with what you were saying, but I said it anyways.
You did. All right. Let's talk about what we're supposed to talk about today. We will actually, in an upcoming QB Power Hour, we are going to be talking about robots versus humans. And And so we will continue this chat conversation about.
Hey, that's mine. I'm actually hosting that one. Yeah,
I'm interested
I
to
know.
see what you come up with.
I know.
The bulk changes, making mass changes inside of QuickBooks. Let's talk about some of the reasons that you would make mass changes, right? Incorrect categorization, rules, bank rules or something that were functioning or not functioning properly. You maybe have to clean up some of the lists, updating the customers with their address, or making changes that you might need. But especially in QuickBooks Online, a lot of those changes are individual, right? So it ends up being a rote clicking thing. And then with the inability, I think, for keyboard shortcuts to be as useful as they are in desktop, it becomes somewhat of a challenge sometimes, right? So, and then if you are moving a client from desktop to QuickBooks Online, a lot of times you need to make some post-migration changes. And so sometimes you want to do that in one fell swoop, right? So let's talk about some of those tools, right? So in desktop, bulk editing tools, the biggest one, and I think it was a lot of times when I talk to people about desktop and making bulk changes to lists, a lot of people didn't even realize that add, edit multiple list entries was an option. And that is one of the things that if they wanted to update something, they would call in first. Okay, I got a spreadsheet and I just need to bring it in. And sometimes those particular things that they were dealing with didn't have a way to get in outside of some kind of third-party tool, which we'll talk a little bit about. So the add, edit multiple list entries allows for that to happen. You can customize the columns to match your Excel spreadsheet. There are built-in Excel-esque types of things like copy down and things of that nature where you can show these lists, whether they be customers or vendors or your items lists, and then make those mass changes in one fell swoop. Obviously, the bank feed, you can do a lot of undoing or ignoring as far as making mass changes. There is tools and utilities for the income tracker or the bill tracker, where you can do a lot of things in bulk of sending or printing transactions. And then, of course, with Enterprise and or your Accountant Edition, you've got some batch tools in there where you can batch create transactions individually with invoices, as well as other options very similar to it in Advanced with batch enter transactions, but also batch reclassifying and deleting or writing off invoices and fixing unapplied customers and vendor payments, merging vendors. A lot of tools are inside of QuickBooks Desktop to do a lot of things at once. In QuickBooks Online, there are batch actions on most places. The bank feed undo is the ability to remove a lot of transactions that have been added to your QuickBooks through the register if they've been posted, or you want to unmatch them. You can batch undo them. You, of course, got the batch reclassify transactions and batching transactions. And in QuickBooks Online Advanced, you've got the Spreadsheet Sync, which is an add-on that's included with QuickBooks Online Advanced for Excel or Google Sheets. We did do a workshop on School of Bookkeeping about making bulk edits with Spreadsheet Sync. So there's a link there for that, because that took us about 45 minutes, and we're not going to take that 45 minutes right now. So if you want to check it out, go ahead. Second poll question: what tools do you use to make bulk changes inside of QuickBooks today? Is it the tools inside of QuickBooks, or maybe there's other tools that you use. Sharon, in your history of QuickBooks, do you?
I use the QuickBooks tool. It's always been, honestly, it's been progressively better from when it first started. That's why that one time when I remember I messaged you, I'm like, where the hell is my toolbox? I needed to make bulk edits. And yeah, you can make them in so many places now. I haven't. Back in the day, I used to use Transaction Pro, which before it was called Transaction Pro Importer or Transaction Pro Deleter. They actually had two different websites. You remember back in 2014? Anyhow, for desktop. And I used that until QuickBooks started adding it in. I am in books. I still stay in books to keep on top of it. But I utilize it like crazy. I haven't seen a need. What I'm saying is I haven't seen a need for a third party yet. I'm sure I'll get people pointing in on how I'm wrong, but I just haven't seen it. Honestly, it's one of the things QuickBooks says, right? And it should. Mm-hmm. It should. This should be something that you should not need a third party for, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
it's just
good job being average with your product. Sorry. I'm just angry. I'm so angry at them. I don't know why. They've done nothing to me except piss me off. They've been personally, actually, that's not true. Their representatives have personally said things to / about me. So maybe I am justifiably bitter.
Jaded.
Or I just have no filter, but whatever.
See,
most everybody here, 76% are QuickBooks only, 26% are RightTool, then 16% are Saasant transaction. When you guys, the 7 of you that said something else, can you drop in the chat what it is? I'd be curious to know. But go ahead, Dan.
Z-Access or something like that. But yeah,
Keeper does do it now.
That's true. All right, so QuickBooks can only do so much, right? So each tool has its limits, right? So if you're not using QuickBooks Online Advanced, you don't get access to Spreadsheet Sync to do those things, or the batch transactions, or some of the other utilities or tools that might be in there, the workflow automations and those types of things. And oftentimes those batch actions are limited to only certain functions. Because like you can go in on a vendor screen and update, historical transactions, and that's part of a batch action. But if you want to, there's always seems to be the shallow end of the pool. It's like, what about this? And then, oh, we don't do that, right? Type of thing. And then there's a challenge of discovery, right? Where do you go to find these things? Each screen might have a different view or look of that, right? Like when you're importing in desktop, that's when it tells you, hey, you could go over to add, edit, remove, or add, edit multiple list items in desktop. So a lot of people didn't even realize that it's there, and they have to tell you, hey, it's over here instead. Batch transactions, you can't edit all types of transactions, and results vary on what you can actually edit, right? Even if it's on the invoices where it's something that you can. And then advanced, the custom fields is a manual process, right? There's really cool things that you can do with those custom fields, but if you can't batch edit them, that's a challenge, right? And that became evident to me because I helped a company move from desktop to online, and they were using vendor type as a field, and that's not a field in QuickBooks Online. So we had to turn that into a custom field so that they could categorize their vendors by type. But they have 8,000 vendors, and to edit each particular, there's 2,000 active, I should say. So 2,000 vendors editing the custom fields was a manual process without some kind of alternative to be able to do that. The external utilities, there are plenty, as people are saying. We're going to focus primarily on Saasant and RightTool. RightTool
I love
Pro.
that. Saasant. I don't know why. I just always loved the name. Probably because my sassy Sharon emoji that I have, but Saasant.
Now, there are others, right? You mentioned them, Transaction Pro or T Pro or whatever they're calling themselves these days. Z Access, automate transaction, the data transfer utility.
Yeah. I want to hear your opinion on this. So all these third-party integrations got created because Intuit didn't have it yet, right? Uncat. Let's talk about Uncat. Love Brandon. His daughter's adorable. They bring the best stuff to all the conferences. But at what point does a product like Uncat no longer become relevant or something we need when QuickBooks, I still don't think QuickBooks does uncategorize well, like getting it to your clients at all. I would never use it, but our project management tools really do. Same with these type of things. Obviously, Intuit has spent some time researching other products that are doing well, like Double. I think Double does something and then Intuit does it, right? And I was just talking to Ben about it. I'm like, Ben, Intuit's copying you. Doesn't that give you some sort of like ego trip? And he goes, no, it's great to see a big old product steal all our ideas and get paid for it. Like, okay, it makes sense. But I'd still be like, So at what point do you think we start, like these third-party integrations start becoming irrelevant?
It's an interesting phenomenon, right? Is that, and truth be told, the first time I heard of Keeper at Scaling New Heights, I went to talk to them, and the individual telling me what they do, I was like, isn't that already in QBOA right now? That was the impression that I left with. I'm like, well, but to a power user of Keeper or Double, we will definitely say it does a lot more than what those things do. And I think that's where Intuit or
and they're not wrong.
Yeah.
I totally think they do. Uncat was the best at Uncat. And then Double started adding it in. Client Hub has it. Financial Sense has it. And so it really makes me think, I'm like, I want to see Brandon succeed. And I know there'll always be a small amount for him, but it's like, I really would have wished somebody would have bought his product. And I don't mean to call him out directly. He's just such a good guy. And I always think about that. But I see things like Tool, which apparently will always be there because QuickBooks, they're doing it better. Plus, I have to show love for Hector, even though he pissed me off on his LinkedIn post the other day. But anyhow, he just really supported them. And I was like, yeah, never mind. But yeah, it just makes me think about it. Whenever I go to the conference, I'm like, you'll be obsolete. You'll be obsolete. You'll be obsolete. And then they never show up again. And you're like, yeah, because see a need, fill a need.
In the grand scheme of things, it's where do they continue to expand their offering, right? Uncategorized or Uncat, right? That was the need that they filled, and they ended up building a whole branding thing around it, right? So eventually, when it gets to the point of where QuickBooks does catch up or other third parties do it better than those things, that could very well be a challenge for them to continue to remain relevant, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that they're not, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of RightTool, right? There's constantly things to improve on, and and as to Hector's benefit, he uses it enough, and he can see those limitations. And he has said, "This is an app or an extension that shouldn't exist."
Yeah, exactly. But I guess the good thing is for something like RightTool, they can move much faster because they don't have to go through 17 departments and approval and boards. So just like, this is an issue. Everybody's telling us issue. Let's code it in. Like it's that simple and it'll be ready in a week. So they can move faster. But I still think that Intuit, honestly, most of them probably just have people that sit in their product and are like, we need to add this. We need to add this. We need to add this. And they don't want to put them out of business to actually like them because they're probably saving them a shit ton of money on R&D.
Yeah.
A double subscription and a RightTool subscription. And they're like, our R&D is $17 a month.
Exactly. So let's talk a little bit about Saasant. They have, just like QuickBooks, they have a desktop product and they have an online product. And there is a hybrid product called the migration level, but it's still on the desktop side. One of the things that I use it myself, mostly for conversions or migrations. There is a migration option between desktop to desktop, right? So when you have these large companies that have a lot of data in them, maybe there's some damage in the file and it can't be fixed, taking a subset of data and moving it into another QuickBooks desktop file is a really cool option. Or if one of the challenges of QuickBooks Desktop is multiple people could be in different company files, and maybe one user did all this data entry in the wrong company file, and they want to be able to consolidate or merge them, right? This is a tool or utility that allows you to do that relatively streamlined, right? One of the things that I really appreciate about it is that during the migration wizard, it will say, hey, this preference is turned on in the source file and it's not on, and here's what it is in the target. Maybe you might want to change that. Or there's a little checkbox to actually interrupt the migration if there's an error, right? Because you may have a contingent transaction, right? If an invoice doesn't come over, then of course the payment that paid that invoice won't come over, and the deposit made off of that payment won't come over. So you want to make sure that the prerequisite transactions make the journey, and having it pause the migration rather than just skipping over it and then you have to deal with the outcome or the consequences is part of a challenge. There's other tools and utilities in there. There's a PDF to Excel utility where you can extract bank statements and those types of things built into the tool. You can, what was the other thing? There are some automation options. So if you just plug in a file, you can automatically map it. You just plug it in and it makes those changes for you. It is an annual subscription, but it's about $300 for the top tier, right? So there's no limit on the number of transactions that you do with Saasant for desktop. With Saasant for online, just like QuickBooks Online, it has a company aspect to it, a company connection aspect. And then within that company aspect, you have different tiers of things that you can do. There are multiple tiers or multiple company options, a multiple bulk option where you can purchase a connection to 3 or 10, and then you can swap things out, right? So if you're doing a project for a particular client, you can add them to your multiple company billing. And then when you're done with that, you can kick them out and then add another company to it. And they work on credits, though, on the QuickBooks Online side of things. Each particular import, export, or deletion is a credit, and it's based off of a line item, right? So if you have one invoice with 15 line items, that's 15 credits. But on a multiple billing, they pool them for you, right? So if you have a company that doesn't necessarily need 5,000 credits, they can be essentially utilized for a bigger project that you might have. Just keep in mind when you're swapping connections out, like if you have three company and you're swapping things in or out, there may be a billing cycle that needs to occur. So it's not like you can just keep swapping them out each day, right? Keep that in mind. But there's links in there to check them out. And then Tool Pro is, I think, fast becoming an accountant's.
Yeah, I hear
friend.
about it everywhere. They say if you have QuickBooks, you need RightTool. You have to have it.
Now, there's tons of batch features. I took a screenshot of the settings when you're in Tool Pro, which is the paid version. There is a RightTool free where you can just use a free option, but it doesn't have any of these batch functionality. But you can see all the options that you can switch on or off. This was very useful. I'm trying to think of a better way to say for that use case that I was just talking about, where they were using the vendor type field in desktop and then turned it into a custom field, right? Because you can update custom fields on transactions, vendors, customers. There's a lot of other pretty neat things there, like changing the case, right? If you have your all caps customer.
Oh my God. It really does that? Oh.
Yeah.
Those customers are always in their 70s. Why? Like, why are you yelling at me, Claude? Wait, Clive?
You can change the case of your customers. You can swap out the display names, right? So if they're names versus customer companies, you can use the RightTool Pro to do that. The cost of the RightTool Pro is $75 monthly for the first user, and then $25 for each additional user. And there's no, because the way that Tool Pro works is it's a browser extension, right? It sits over top of the browser. There's not a per company cost to RightTool Pro. And Hector has been so nice and gracious to give us a QB Power Hour promo. So for the first year, you get $15 off that first user. So it ends up being $60 a month. Basically, you can add a second user almost for $10, right? You can learn about that there. Whoops.
I should show you what just hit my inbox right now.
What's that?
QuickBooks and Mineral. If you have QuickBooks Workforce Premium, you already have Mineral. Tomorrow we're doing a live Mineral walkthrough. There you guys go. Tomorrow they're doing a live walkthrough, whoever the hell this is. Oh, Mineral. Trustmineral.com.
So we are doing at School of Bookkeeping, we are doing a deeper dive cohort at School of Bookkeeping in mid-July. So after Scaling New Heights settles, but before Intuit Connect, we will be doing 4 live sessions. We will dive into the desktop options, the QuickBooks Online options, and then talk about Saasant desktop and online, and then do some workshopping with RightTool Pro. That's $279 for the cohort. They are going to be recorded, so if you can't attend those live sessions, you can always watch them later. And there are discounts available if you use our referral link for any of these external tools. So you can check that out.
And you can also get private streaming, and you can get the trial during that month too. So they could sign up for your thing, try it out while they're doing all that stuff, and then decide which one they want to keep and use, right? That's what I would do. That's how I would do it.
There never seems to be, and I think that's part of the challenge with all of this, is that there's not like a silver bullet, because custom fields are solely they're not a great option for the Saasant, right? Biggest issue with these external tools, if you're using custom fields or definable custom fields, especially in QuickBooks Online Advanced, and let's not get too into the weeds with the tags issue, but when tags turned into a custom field, a definable drop down as its solution, and now that's stuck in all versions of QuickBooks Online. These third-party applications really can't integrate with that, right? It was always one of the limitations of the API for things like Saasant or Transaction Pro is that they couldn't directly integrate with the custom fields, right? So that's where Tool Pro and Saasant could be used in conjunction with each other, right? So there's things that Saasant can do that Tool can't do, and vice versa, right? So if you did need to update your custom fields, Tool Pro would be a great utilization for that. And as it sits right now, it's really the only option. And then to your point, Sharon, when the API gets on board with all of these third parties and they figure out the way to integrate with those custom fields, that will limit the value or lower the value of RightTool Pro, right? So
I don't know. I still think Tool will always be a few steps ahead of Intuit. I think that's the point. And I also want to point out to everybody that you are watching in real time the virus my husband shared with me developed. The first guy got on this, told Dan, I'm not feeling too well. And now so you guys have all watched me progressively get sicker in the last 45 minutes, just so you know.
We'll do it time lapse. We'll do a time lapse
of me holding my paper towel to my nose because I can't get up to blow it yet. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, I just always think their tool's going to be ahead. They have to. It's their whole business model.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point for any technology company, right? In order to remain and have that value, they are going to have to continue to evolve and continue to add features and functionality, right? Resting on your laurels is just going to allow you to get overtaken, right? And you're going to be lapped if you're not continually improving, because QuickBooks will continue to go at its own pace, and on these functions and features, we're all just sitting here waiting for some of this to happen, right? And if you wait for it to happen, you can just continue to wait and get to do whatever it is that you're allowed to do when it actually gets, as a function inside of QuickBooks. So that's where these tools fill the gap, right? And that could be a RightTool thing.
I wish this was around back in the day when I was heavily doing bookkeeping. I would have loved this. Some of us had to do it the old school way.
Yeah.
Right click, delete, right click, delete.
Yeah. I had a situation where somehow duplicate sales tax items got into QuickBooks Desktop. They were using some kind of integrated application that just kept creating duplicate sales tax items. Probably, it was in the thousands, right? It was all Z sales tax or something like that. And in that particular case, it was something that was manual. There was no utility that I could use to do that because there were transactions associated with those duplicates. So it wasn't something you
have to undo it. Yeah, it's crazy. It is. That's to me Transaction Pro Deleter, which I know that's not what it is anymore, but that's where really what I use is when something imported, you're like, but even then you didn't get to identify like you can now. You guys have it so easy now. All of you younger people, if you were doing this 15 years ago, you don't know what it's like 15 plus years ago. I'm dying over here.
In my day.
Back in my day, I've been doing this for what, 20 years? Over 20 years now. 22.
We had to use keyboard shortcuts.
I had Quicken on a Macintosh, like one of those big gray things with the bottom. I'm not even joking. It was like all green. The screen was the green cursor.
And as Murph was saying, yes, that's
Why
what
is it-
what
That's
merge
good.
was for. And that's what we had to do is we had
Yep.
to manually merge 9,000 sales tax items.
I was going to say,
Each
Murph
one-
used a whole abacus and a chisel in a cave.
Exactly. But I just paid my son $100 or whatever. Hey, would you like to just click around in QuickBooks and merge? Because there was no tool that allowed you to merge list items, because that it needed that prompt of, hey, this item's already in use. Would you like to merge them? And then you'd have to actually say yes to that in QuickBooks. And there's no tool that actually does that for you. So those were part of the challenges that you have with these third parties. There might be a message or a prompt that can't be done. So I think as we get into operational AI, where you see the mouse moving around or you're able to program those types of things, that's going to be something that will eliminate a lot of inefficiencies when it comes to how fast can you actually click and type inside of QuickBooks. Did we miss any comments, concerns, questions?
No, I hit all them up. It was quiet today, which is crazy. Even Murph was not as nuts as he normally is. So anyhow, but no, I think we got them all. This is honestly, I do think I don't know how anyone could be in QuickBooks without something like that, unless you're really not. It really depends if you're just doing minor stuff, but if you're doing cleanup at all, I feel like you have to have RightTool. It's like an investment. You figure if you charge $150 an hour, if it saves you an hour, then you've made your ROI because it's only $75 a month, right? So you only have to save 30 minutes a month to break even when you're going to save way more than that.
Exactly.
Anyhow.
So the next time on the QB Power Hour, we'll be having Fishbowl on to talk about their catch of the day. So we threw a pun in there of fish and catch. So we'll be joined by Kendrick, who is their chief evangelist, and walking through some of the options that are available inside of Fishbowl. You can check that out on our website and register for that.
And your Fishbowl pins.
Your fidget spinner. Swag.
Oh my God. Love it. Yes. Love it.
All right. Let's roll the
I'm ready.
last poll question.
I feel like I don't care about this question because honestly, if you answer no, I don't care. Dan cares. If you answer no, I'm like, you know how many people are going to say no now?
All.
Everybody's going to say no. I would, to spite me. You know, we can see who you are, right? Oh, 7 of you are jerks. Dan, it's not you, it's me. Your information's very useful. I'm the one that they're like, why is she here? What happened to Matt? Bring Matt back.
We'll find out when you actually start.
There you go. Carol wants to know what the bulk changes cohort is. That was the one you just did, right?
Yeah.
Carol, the slides are in there, and then Dan, you want to send those over to her?
Yeah. This cohort.
Also, answer yes, right? If you answer yes, Dan will reach out to you.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is the deep dive cohort that we're doing at School of Bookkeeping, where we're going to have 4 sessions in July where we talk about these things a little in a more intimate setting, right? So we'll deeper dive into what the things that you can do in desktop, the things that you can do in QuickBooks Online, and then what options that you have with Saasant on desktop and or online and Tool Pro. So you can check that out there. And like I said, there are discounts available if you activate some of these things if you don't have them already.
Love it.
All right.
Dan, I need to go hop over your thing and see what else you teach, because I have so many people that are just starting businesses in my community and they're like, how do you do this? I'm like, I don't teach you that, but Dan does. I teach you how to run the business and how to be efficient and how to only work 3 days a week. I don't teach you how to do the actual work. Other people can do that.
Yes. And then I'll get you down to 1 day a week. All those QuickBooks efficiencies that we'll be figuring.
That's pretty. My last firm, I only worked 5 hours a weekend. So I guess it can be done if you have the right efficiency set up. That's my new hashtag. I'm the hashtag efficiency expert.
Very nice.
All right. Show us your next slide.
Oh, that's it.
Oh, that was it? And
that
then
is
just
it.
us?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. We ended on time.
This is the first.
We have 5 minutes left can we go back to talking crap about Intuit and how they laid everybody off?
So what are your thoughts?
Oh my God. I was just, honestly, I laughed because when you do this, then everyone said they learned via an email and a calendar invite. I understand it's thousands upon thousands of people, but what's the right way to fire that many people without notice? Like I guess there's no right, you can't physically bring that many people in. So I guess there's no right way, right?
Yeah.
How would you prefer to be fired from a company that you've been with for 20 friggin' years or whatever? I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
There's just no right way.
Yeah. There's never a great way to do it. The solace is that Intuit has done this a lot. And
over and over. And their severances.
They have really great practice at it, right?
Yeah.
In my tenure
That's
there.
That's filled. We fired your employees for you. We are good at it.
In the last few years that I was there, if they would have asked for volunteers, I would have raised my hand.
Yeah.
And they do these things in all sorts of different ways, right? They put people into a meeting, a virtual meeting, or hey, log into this, and then they give an announcement. There were stories of there was one time they exited people out of the building, took them to a spring training game, because in Tucson they do spring training, and at that point anybody who did not go to that event was informed. Which was interesting.
So you couldn't make it. So my dad's on his deathbed. They're like, yeah, sucks to be you. We all die. You should have came to this event.
No, not that. They invited him. If you didn't get the invite, then that's.
Only the people invited were. So they brought all the people. Okay. You remember my book, the story about how they fired the one girl that worked with us? They took us all to breakfast. We're like, where's Christina? And they're like, oh, so she's actually getting fired right now. We didn't want you guys in there when we did it. Yeah. I was so pissed because she was my assistant. I'm like, excuse me? You took us to breakfast and you plied me with mimosas while you fired my assistant because we were a small group, very close. And I'm like, this was shitty. But then now that I own a business, I think there's no right way to, honestly, when I let somebody go, I have to be cold and be like, didn't work out. Sorry. You want to talk about it more? Sign your severance agreement, the separation agreement. I'll pay you. And then we can have a chat about it. But you got to protect your assets and the rest of your company. And it sucks. It's just the hardest part of owning businesses. People.
Yeah.
I mean,
anyhow. I made a conscious effort or thought in my mind that I was not going to have employees because I did not want to have that conversation.
Yeah, it's hard, especially when you hire family and friends. So if you hire family and friends, you better be prepared to fire family and friends. And that never goes the way you think it will. I've lost so many friends that I was helping them out by giving them a job, and then they turned out to be crap employees. Maybe some my fault, but no, not some of them were not. And then I never talked to them. They got pissed when I fired them. I'm like, what do you want me to do? You are stealing time. What do I do here? I'm saying we're still gonna go get beers. I should be like, F, you stole from me, but anyhow, it's just crazy. So Anyhow, that's a whole
Yeah, there's
topic.
never a great conversation to have or to even consider having.
You want to know the best part is when you're doing so well in business, you hire somebody that does them for you. I had a director of operations, my 4 foot nothing. She's like 4'8", 97-pound Cuban, Monica. And I would send her because anytime I'd have to fire somebody, I would be violent. I'd be sick for like days, knowing that I was going to have to let somebody go, because just the anxiety of knowing that how they're going to feel and they're not going to be able to pay their rent. And I lost my job. And how do I tell my spouse? So I would make her do it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I paid her.
Yeah, she would.
You're the fire. You're the chopping block.
She would just go in and say,
no shame in that.
Hey, what was your favorite subject in high school? Mine was history. And so are you.
She was even colder about it than I am.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God. Exit interview. There was no exit interview. Exit interview was, why did you suck? Oh, you didn't know you sucked. Now you do, but just kidding. All right, Dan, this was a great way to end this very informative webinar.
All right. We will see you next time on the QB Power Hour when we talk with Fishbowl. And we hope you all have a great day.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the QB Power Hour podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to support our amazing sponsors. You'll find them listed on our homepage at qbpowerhour.com. And if you're getting value from the show, we'd love it if you left us a review wherever you get your podcasts. Your feedback helps us grow and reach more accounting pros just like you. Until next time, keep powering up your practice with QB Power Hour.